Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ecom Pulse podcast. I'm your host, Eitan Kotter, and it is my pleasure to welcome Alex back, founder and CEO of Couch.com. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Eitan. Very happy to be here.
Oh, Alex, we've been discussing, and you are full of, crazy things that you did. So successful in your background. Um, you're actually an e-commerce veteran. Can we call you a veteran?
I think you can call me a veteran, and I'm
Yeah.
hiding a lot of gray hairs with hair dye, but they're
No,
there. I can
they're
assure
there.
you.
Okay. It doesn't look like that. Of course, you led team in all aspects of online retail, from manufacturing, supply chain, partnership. So we would love to learn more about you. Please share with us, what your background and the great things you've been doing lately.
Yeah, absolutely. So, currently a CEO of Couch.com, and basically, we're building an innovative online platform to help people find where to buy great couches. It's still a mystery to people, as much as there's a ton of information and resources out there, and plenty of retailers marketing to these people. Nobody really feels comfortable in knowing where to buy. So we're doing the research for you, and essentially making them helping you find your sofa soulmate, so to speak, kind of like the match.com
Nice.
of couches. So that's what we're doing with couch.com. Previously I had founded a startup, an e-commerce furniture brand called Apartment2B, APT2B, and grew it to the point of being very successful, and our company was acquired a number of years ago, and I stayed on through that integration process to the larger entity. So there was a lot that went on there, but interestingly, Apartment2B was started with me and my partner Matt, because we were trying to solve almost the same problem in the furniture industry, which is that people don't know where to go to buy great furniture. So at that time, this was in 2009, 2010, when we were getting that together, there were really no independent online retailers of furniture at that time. So there was just a
And that time
tremendous
is when? Can you tell us when? Like in which year?
2009, 2010.
2009. Yes, correct.
And I use just like one anecdote is like IKEA, one of the largest in the world, but one of the largest in America, furniture retailers, wasn't even selling product online. Like you couldn't even, there was no purchasing portal. The reason is that people just weren't ready to buy big ticket items. And so there was a lot of opportunity, and it was not a very crowded space, thankfully, because we had no idea really what we were doing when we got started. I was in my mid-20s and had very little experience in anything having to do with e-commerce or digital. So we bootstrapped, we learned, we iterated, we pivoted, we did everything that a startup normally does. And luckily our competition was like, they didn't really pop up for the first few years. So we had some time to really figure out the kinks, and found ourselves a little bit ahead of the game always, because we had started so early. We had a lot of success in very many areas. We tried a lot of things. We were an early adopter of Shopify, and I have plenty of stories which we can get into if you wish, but ultimately it was a tremendous experience. And I did, as you said, learned a lot about a lot of parts of running an e-commerce retail operation, from the marketing to the technology aspects to the operations and distribution of a national furniture chain. It's a lot.
It's a lot. So what was the business model? I mean, what was the experience? Obviously, there is a whole story about supply chain, logistics, inventories, right? That's on the back end side. What's in terms of customer experiences and the way they shop? What was the innovation, that you introduced back then?
Yeah. So we, from an innovation standpoint, and I joke about this sometimes because I wrote our original business plan, and it was essentially 40 pages of this. So we're going to sell furniture, right? But we're going to do it online.
Wow.
That was the innovation.
Wow.
That was the
How dare you? Oh, it's
So
crazy.
that's funny, but there was more to it, right? So I think we at the time identified that the market need. That need was that there was nothing bridging the gap between like an IKEA and a Crate and Barrel, where you'd have
Mm-hmm.
like very inexpensive home furnishings and then ones that were unattainable to most people in their 20s and 30s, let's say. Young
Yes.
professionals was our target audience. And we knew just from our own experience, we had both been in the furniture industry before
Okay.
that time.
Yeah.
And we knew that people asked us all the time, hey, where should I go to buy this or that? And we're like, what if people just found it online and had a way into this industry that they didn't have before? So even though it seems simple, it was innovative in a sense that there was a gap in the marketplace that we were attempting to fill.
Yes.
One innovative idea that we had at the time, which kind of got us a lot of attention and a lot of PR and recognition, was that we had this package, like home package builder. You see this a lot in furniture retail, but we had like this 18-piece living room set for only $29.99 or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
for us, our version was, let's do a living room package and a bedroom package and
Mm-hmm.
allow people to choose from these 4 couches, choose from these 4 coffee tables, these 4 TV stands, these 4 rugs, and then we would ship them all together in one convenient delivery. So the truth is that never really converted very well because it was
Okay.
still a little bit too specific for people
Mm-hmm.
to commit that much to. Even though we gave them options, I think they felt a little bit trapped by that. But it was something that, like, it was a conversation piece that was extremely valuable to us, getting started. So,
Sure.
but ultimately, to answer your question, it's the business model was quite simple. We were running a traditional retail model, and just doing it online, and sort of
Yeah.
that was our entry point. How do we make an
Yes.
online furniture store work?
Yeah. So there is, I mean, it's in a breakthrough in terms of having furniture purchased online, but it's also high ticket items, right? So I'll talk to you later about the courage, right, to launch such a business. But I will really will love to learn about the major objections, right, that you had like at the beginning, and right, and how you overcome them. Is it like a UI UX type of experience? Is it like customer journeys? Is it like on the logistic front? Obviously, there are objections and problems, and a team of startups that are there to resolve and overcome those challenges. So please share with us. I mean,
Sure.
what were the challenges at the beginning?
Yeah, that's a great question, I think, and very interesting because at that time, as I said before, people were very hesitant to spend a lot of money
Sure.
online. So our biggest barrier to entry was simply making people feel comfortable. And I think recognizing that was very, very important for us and our growth initially,
Okay.
because there were other sites, there were competitors, but plenty of
Mm-hmm.
them were just not very customer focused. They probably weren't UI or UX focused either from an online
Yeah.
perspective, because back then everything was like many steps below and a lot harder to develop
Mm-hmm.
than where we are now.
Sure.
So I think really focusing on the customer journey and their experience, and having a small team, but very dedicated to making sure every single order went really, really well.
Okay.
So customers in the furniture buying cycle have a lot of questions. Hence, Couch.com, 15 years later, this is why we're doing this,
Yes.
because people have a lot of questions that they need answers to, so they feel comfortable making a purchase. That being said, at the time, it was really just about being there, being present, being available to customers to answer whatever questions, to address them both from a UI standpoint and also from a customer service standpoint to make sure that they
Okay.
felt comfortable. That was the big thing.
So customer first is it's also on the pre-sale phase, correct? I mean, it's not just post-purchase, right? I'm just helping them throughout the purchase. This is just another component here.
Big time. Big
Yeah.
time. I think we found at times during my time at Apartment 2B that around 50% of customers had some touch point with us, some sort of form of contact, chat, phone, email,
Yeah.
questions that they need answered. And my hypothesis has always been for big ticket items, it's not necessarily that there are these burning questions that absolutely need to be answered, but I think people crave a very personal touch point to build that level of trust and comfort.
Yes.
Now, I think
Yes.
nowadays, there are tools that we can use to give that level of comfort or personalization. Like there's plenty of opportunities that AI has afforded us recently to do
it took
so.
10 minutes. It's the first time we say it's 10 minutes. It's a great,
wow, a new record.
Wow, it's a record. It's going to be an amazing episode. I'm telling you from now on.
That's hilarious.
That's a record. Yeah. For sure.
But ultimately, and I still feel this way, the customer wants to feel comfortable, and that level of comfort to get them to spend $1,000, $2,000 online for something for their home that's very personal to them. I think it still requires more than your average AI bot and automated email welcome series to get them really converting.
Okay. So that's the story of Apartment to Be, right? I know it was eventually a quite successful journey, right? So please share with us, how this story ended up for you and what triggers you, or what's you're passionate about. Coach.com, obviously. Would love to understand, the transformation from here and there. Maybe it's not a transformation. Maybe it's a natural growth or journey for you.
Yeah, I think looking back, it feels more natural. There was a period this past year since I left Apartment to Be 1 year ago, where I really felt like I was going to definitely do something else, not in the furniture space. But, our company, Apartment to Be, was successful enough to be acquired back in 2018 by a pretty large furniture retail chain. And the purpose of the acquisition for them was, one, to invest in a growing company where there was a lot of opportunity, but also to help sort of modernize and bolster their online presence. How can we scratch each other's backs? And I think in many ways, it was extremely successful because we were able to rely on the operational infrastructure of a much larger entity. When it comes to things like HR and accounting and all the things that, took our time and took our focus. There's also, we ended up being we had their buying team representing us and used their sort of purchasing power and finances to make different deals and take us in different directions from a merchandising perspective than we would have been able to. Many goals were achieved in that regard. But fast forward, I spent 4 years as COO and just sort of running the Apartment to Be brand, and learning at the same time about this brick and mortar furniture business. They had 30 stores, big furniture stores in the Midwest and here in the US, and they were very, very successful for a very long time, but they had a lot of trouble and they really didn't understand the online space.
Yeah.
And I think they still don't, even 5 years later. Like it's hard to get an old school industry like the furniture industry, and there are other ones like this, to really fundamentally change. So I had all that experience. And I recognized that there was just like a big gap in the online space and representation for these brick and mortar retailers.
Okay.
And at the same time, there's 80% of the commerce in the furniture industry is done on the brick and mortar level.
On the brick and mortar level.
So you're like, how are these guys doing all this business with like ads in the penny saver that comes to your doorstep, or like billboard? Like, what are they doing?
80%.
80%. So even though I've watched personally, I've been on the wave, surfing it with everybody else in the online furniture market as it has grown immensely in the last decade. But there's still a ton of opportunity with these underrepresented retail chains and small mom and pop stores alike.
Yes.
that
Okay.
are looking for an online advertising platform that makes sense to them, that they don't have to really worry about wasting money on. So the whole point of Couch.com essentially is to create an advertising platform for the furniture industry, to allow for a place for them to find direct access to people literally searching for a couch right now. And I'm sort of attempting to democratize the online advertising space when it comes to furniture by offering a place where a mom and pop shop and a huge store like a West Elm or a Crate and Barrel can live side by side, and let the customer choose which retailer they would like to go visit or eventually buy something from.
Wow, that's it sounds like one of the biggest discussion is whether for any startup is it easier to disrupt in a traditional brick and mortar industry, or is it more difficult to disrupt in already high tech industry? You see many companies are innovating, the banking industry, the insurance industries, they are like traditional, nothing has changed there for decades, right? And I really, you have that experience, and obviously introducing innovation to this industry, which is really, really exciting. So what's going to be the experience? I mean, so I fully understand that you're actually building a kind of a marketplace model, right? Enabling on the back end for anyone who doesn't have any resources or skill set to go online, helping them with setting up their products or their shop inside the platform. How is it going to be in terms of the shoppers experiences? What's in terms of the journey they're going to do there? How I know you are using and implementing a lot of AI tools on the onboarding.
Yep.
Please share more details about that.
Absolutely. So the point of Couch.com from a user perspective, there's tremendous value there as well, I think, because as I said before, and sort of what I keep repeating to everyone is no one knows where the heck to go to buy a couch. Where did you get your last couch? I mean, just give me a sense of what type of place it was.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, brick and mortar store like the regular chains, right? You just go there because that's the only choice you have, right?
Sure. So when I ask the question, I get various answers. But sometimes people will say like, I have no idea, or like, or some people will say like, I bought it from Wayfair because they're the biggest and they were the ones that were in my Instagram feed. Everybody has their reasons for going somewhere, but they're usually not the reasons that should be driving their purchase. So when you purchase anything, you have a set of variables that are most important to you. You have like a checklist of sorts. And when you're buying a couch, it's the same thing. Whether it's, I need something that's great for kids. I need something that I'm going to be able to get tomorrow because I have nothing to sit on. I want something that can, fit this exact measurement. There are certain things that are deal breakers for people, or lead variables, as I'm calling them, that they enter this purchase journey with. So the goal of Couch.com is to get people matched up with the perfect couch for them by way of showing them the way to the best retailer that has that piece. We ask customers questions with an AI-powered quiz that we're developing. That's very robust and takes in a lot of data points from all of the retailers and product sets that we're bringing into our platform to point them in the right direction. So quite literally, picture a quiz where it says, what are the things that are most important to you? Whether that's in a conversational, AI chatbot manner, or a more visual sort of quiz, traditional e-commerce style quiz that we've seen, the fact remains that the point is still the same. So it's like, pick the variables that are most important to you. Timing, comfort, great for kids. I need to see it in person. And depending on which variables the customers choose, we'll ask some follow-up questions and things of that nature, but these can change the course of your shopping journey drastically. So picture coming to a place where we essentially tell you where to go versus going to the local furniture store, walking around the store, getting sold to by a salesperson, and having to spend 2 hours with nothing to show for it. That's ultimately the experience that we're trying to create, one of great ease and convenience for the users.
I understand. So on the backend side, all the provider suppliers, you are actually creating a database of categorizing and tagging various characteristics, right, of the couch itself or the purchase criteria that shoppers have. And on the front end, you're creating this AI-powered quiz that can enable the connection of that specific potential buyer with a specific store. What is the outcome of this AI journey? The result is that it gives you like specific store, physical store. It just directs you to a local store. You can find the best couch for you on that specific store, right?
Yeah. So quite literally, and again, we're building this platform now, but what we're building is a page that essentially is the representation of someone saying, thanks for telling me all that. Here's where I think you should go. So it'll be, here are some stores to consider near you. We'll have, IP locator, and people can put in and change their zip code and get, more relevant results. Here are some online retailers you might want to consider. And then here are some products that fit your specifications. And obviously they can start filtering from there. But rather than giving them, and I think we've all been on furniture, like larger furniture marketplaces, and you're seeing these pieces that all look so different. The images are formatted differently. Like it's not a cohesive experience. So we're trying to make it very cohesive, well sort of branded and put together under the couch.com umbrella to build trust with customers and make them feel like we're giving them really good search results, because we will.
And in terms of your business model, are you going to kind of affiliate model, or are there going to be actual transaction in the platform as well?
So I think we'll work up to the idea of transacting on the platform at some point. But I think transparently, I think we need to understand our business and our users in this sort of a little alternative model, being a marketing platform and a middle person. I think we need to really understand that better before we start taking people's money. Because I know from experience in the furniture space, like it's very challenging post-purchase to keep a customer satisfied. There's a lot that needs to happen and go really well. A lot that doesn't go well. When you take people's money, you're the first person that they'll call when the delivery doesn't go the right way or they're dissatisfied. Yes. So that's a big responsibility, which I'm up for, but not at the first point.
Not at the get-go,
Right. So the initial focus is sort of various forms of the traditional affiliate marketing model. One will be a commission-based opportunities where we're sending leads to online websites and stores and are getting either a CPC commission for the leads that we're sending, or a percentage-based commission for the percentage of the sale.
Interesting.
The other way that we're monetizing is a little bit different. We're sort of modeling after a lot of these are sort of like branded search engines, like a Yelp, where you'll have, or I've actually been really focused on this wedding website, the knot.com, which is super popular, where they'll have pages for every brand. And there'll be sort of a free version of the page, like we've listed for you with your basic information. But if you'd like to manage that page and add photos and add your reviews and be able to communicate with customers directly through our platform, then we will charge a monthly subscription fee. So there'll be a monthly subscription, sort of direct advertising business with many premium features that we'll offer, like dedicated email blasts or banner ads on the website. And those will be sort of the two basic monetization models, one traditional affiliate and one sort of direct paid advertising to the brands themselves.
Interesting. So maybe this is a good opportunity to discuss about your marketing strategy. I know you're all about also co-branded partnership, right? So yeah, I would love to learn more about what are your plans there.
Yeah, it's a great question. If I said I had it all figured out at this point, I'd be lying, because I don't. But here's...
That's the fun of it, right?
That is the fun of it. Yes, because we're all crazy and we like big challenges. We love pain. No, I think here's what I know. I know how to get a paid audience engaged in a furniture buying process. I also know that the competition in this space is very great and CPCs
Mm-hmm.
and advertising costs are very high.
Very high.
So, can I bring a paid audience or pay for advertising to bring to couch.com? That model is likely not going to work very well for us because we'll be basically passing through users to where they'll be converting. We're not going to be in the short term making conversions on our site
Yeah.
or realizing the sale. So that's going to be difficult, but it may make sense within our paid advertising model. Like there may be enough revenue coming in, and I may be able to create a financial model that makes sense with paid advertising for Couch.com. But more specifically, I think we're really heavily focused on our organic reach and how we can draw people in with our great content and product and brand reviews, educational content like videos about how to negotiate in a furniture store. I've spent a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time, money, and energy over the last 6 to 8 months creating like a database of content that I think is most valuable to customers. So, we're rising in rankings in Google, and that's a main focus for us. But
Sure.
as you mentioned too, co-branded partnerships, I think is a great way for any startup to start, moving things forward. So,
Yes.
um, two ways that we're doing that. One, we've been doing like a lot of co-branded giveaways. That's something we did in my former company that was very successful for us. Um,
Interesting. Yeah.
very low, barrier to entry financially. They don't cost very much. Obviously, the leads that you get from a giveaway type situation, they're not as valuable as other leads, but they're not devoid of value. So we've currently built an email list in the last like 2 months of really focusing on it of about 50,000 people.
Wow.
So we have a lot of first party data already that we can
Impressive.
start using and pushing through the site. But on a larger scale,
Yeah.
part of the reason I spent my life savings on couch.com, the domain, is because of the X factor that it carries. And I think
Yes.
I've already seen it open doors for me. And I have my sight set on a lot of great co-branded partnerships with, couch.com and a fabric company. Like, hey, we've made a couch in this Pendleton fabric that's perfect for spring. And then we're sort of promoting Pendleton to all of our users, and Pendleton will do the same. If we have something interesting to talk about, I think it's a great marketing opportunity that we can easily pitch to some very big brands. And then in
Yes.
exchange, we're giving them some great content and something to talk about on their end to their users. So it's usually a win-win.
Yes. Yes. Interesting. So you mentioned couch.com, the domain itself, and hey, we must talk about that, right? And what was your thought process? Because usually, startups start and they made some traction and they don't invest too much in a domain. And if it's successful, they will negotiate and try to improve. But this is something you did from the get-go. So what was your thought process? I mean, I think I know and maybe I understand, but I would love your insights on that.
Well, somebody told me that couch.com was available. I looked at the price tag, and because it was listed through a brokerage, like some are
Sure.
just like, most domains are just occupied. Even if there's no content on them, you have to like use your own broker or agent to like dig um into the registrar records and see who owns it, or like go even
Hmm.
deeper, and you're sending sort of cold emails, and it's hard to do that. But when a domain is on a brokerage already for sale, it's like sort of like going to buy something. It's like you decide how much you want to pay for it. They've already sort of named a starting price, and you try to
Hmm.
negotiate. So This price was like, okay, insane. I'm not going to pay this. This is not what I'm doing. And then I was like on a solo trip in Europe, just like finding I was like a walking cliche after leaving my last company, like self-help books, exercising a lot, seeing the world.
Yeah.
And I had this like aha moment where I was thinking about couch.com and I was like, you know what? I actually have this really scalable idea. Because initially I was thinking about it as like an amazing direct to consumer business that would be set up similar to the one that I had done. And that's the lens that I was looking
Yeah.
through. I was like, but I have this great domain and I could sell so many more couches. But then I realized, no, this can actually be what I've already described, like this grander vision that really serves the entire furniture industry and can be sort of a juggernaut in this space. And I also thought, like, who else is going to buy this website? Like, nobody that I know, and I'm pretty dialed into the furniture space. Like, I
Yes.
don't know anybody who would like be crazy enough to pay this much money and feels confident. So I kind of was like, I think I could do this. So I was like, I think I can negotiate. So I started
Wow.
negotiating. It turns out the previous owner, was part of a 2-person team that created the product that became Google AdSense. And they sold it to Google for a lot of money 20 years ago. So,
Wow.
yeah. So my first
Wow.
conversation with the broker was a shorter one wherein they
Yes.
explained
No,
some
no
version of this.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of financial negotiation here.
Yeah.
So that was a tough pill to swallow. And obviously, I thought about it a lot. And ultimately, I decided that as an investment, that this is something that I personally can add a lot of value to, even if I don't achieve all of my dreams. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think it was a bad investment. And that ultimately is just like a piece of property. Like I talked about, like a
Of course.
beachfront property. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
could buy a restaurant that's all the way up on the hill in Malibu, or I can buy one where all the tourists go
Mm-hmm.
for a lot more money. And this time, I think I'm ready to do the one that's beachfront, and I think I can. I think I can do it. So that
Amazing.
was my story.
Wow. 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 Very, very interesting. So about the time to purchase, right, in the furniture industry. I mean, in apartment to be obviously dealt with people, we still were afraid to put our credit card information online, right? I mean, so many things that are not even relevant today, right, in online purchase. Do you see any change in time to purchase today versus, when you started?
I'm really glad that you mentioned that,
Yeah.
because that's really the focus and the value that I think Couch.com aims to provide. The
Yeah.
time to purchase for years, the average was the same. You have people who convert quickly, and then you have people who take 8 months. But sort of the
Wow. Yeah.
median time is around 3 weeks,
Three
which is a
weeks. Okay.
long conversion cycle. In the
Sure.
e-commerce space, like that can be an eternity. You know what happens when you go to one furniture website or sneaker website, and then you go on social media, there's like 100 ads for, I mean, competitive advertising
Yes.
is just part of our way of life now. It's very, very aggressive. So keeping
Mhm.
customers engaged once you have acquired them as users before they become customers is very, very difficult. 3 weeks is a long time, and our conversion
Mhm.
rate was always very low, and very, very low in the furniture industry, much like around 10% of what industry average is in e-commerce at large. So it just goes to show it's very, very difficult to convert a customer. So we always kind of thought like, well, it's a high consideration purchase. It's a lot of money. Our average order values, $1,500, $2,000.
Mhm.
I think that's fairly typical in the furniture space. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
it makes sense. But I have another thought, which is that I think it has more to do with the level of comfort and confidence that customers have in the furniture space, which is very, very low. So
Mhm.
you have, a product that no one really knows very much about, but needs and uses every day. You have usually multiple decision makers in a household, usually. that have to agree enough on something to be able to make a fairly large purchase. So my thought is, well, let's just minimize those variables and get some of them out of the way and help focus people just like I would in a retail setting. So that's the point of couch.com. We're treating it as if we're like your personal concierge to helping you find your best couch. Just like when my friends ask me, I'm like, all right, well, what are you looking for? And what about this? What about that? Great. So I think you should go here or there. And that's the goal. And that's the focus, to bring that 3 weeks down to 2 or 1 week, or maybe even a few days.
Okay. So one of your KPIs is obviously to lower time to purchase, right? It's
exactly
one of the things that you try to achieve here.
100%. I could have just said that, but I gave you the whole song and dance. That's
no,
exactly
of course. It's
right.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot of tasks, a lot of targets to achieve. But if anyone can do that, it's obviously you. So I wanted to ask you, as a founder, right, in Apartment to Be, for example, and it was as we said, right, a successful journey. Did you build a company with this, North Star exit, or trying to build and make decisions based on the type of companies that may acquire you in the future, or you had this in mind, during the decision making process? And I'm asking as a founder, for the listeners here that are also launching companies, right? And I'm thinking about, do you plan the exit from the day one, or is it something that you don't have to think about it when you run the company? What are your thoughts here?
Well, I think that starts with a very personal question of like what one is looking for in their life. And it seems obvious, but I don't know that I don't know that I'm in touch with that at this moment. For instance, I was just talking to a colleague who has created like an unbelievable lifestyle business where he's making a lot of money doing, something on his own, like a solopreneur style. And it's sort of like many people's dream. And my question was, okay, so when are you going to sell it? Or you could sell it to this partner or this person. And he's like, yeah, I'm not sure that that's what I want to do. So even the most successful businesses, sometimes I've found, are not necessarily set up to sell, but simply because that's not the founder's vision. So you're asking the right question.
Yeah.
Apartment 2B is a great example of a business that was never set up to be sold. We never thought of that even once, I don't think. Like, we just wanted to create a business that created a great income for us and our families. And that was really always the vision, until someone had approached us about a potential acquisition. And that got us thinking about it. So then I think we started positioning things and wording things and just preparing mentally and somewhat physically for that to happen. That first conversation fizzled. A year and a half later, we started our eventual acquisition conversation with a different entity, and we're prepared for that at that time. But now, starting couch.com, I am thinking about it a lot. And I'm thinking about it more from, working backwards from an exit, and how I can, get this business to a place of tremendous value. And that's just what I'm looking for right now. I think personally, I'm looking for something I can, obsess over for a number of years and grow and reach tremendous value, and hit another home run and put another acquisition on my resume. But that's a personal decision for me.
Sure. Obviously, in the tech world, you have this, multiply over revenues over EBITDA. I mean, the numbers are staggering, right? And obviously, a lot of founders are, creating a list of potential acquirers, and then they go backwards, right? That's another interesting tactic,
go backwards. You're saying working backwards from there. Yes.
I think for you, I mean, it's interesting that Apartment to Be was a great surprise for you that someone approached you. So it was very interesting to know. So where are you? I mean, in terms of couch.com, what is the stage that you are right now? What are the plans, timeframes?
Yeah, so we're focused on two things right now. One is building our platform. So I have a fantastic tech partner. We're building it
Okay.
currently on the Shopify platform, which will afford us many opportunities for various integrations that will be valuable to us along the way. And an experience for our users that is sort of multidimensional. It's not just content, but also very robust product catalog, amongst many retailers across the country. So we wanted to build it on a commerce platform so we can sort of treat it like an e-commerce entity and really be conversion focused. Okay. So we're building that. That's one thing. The other thing we're doing right now is just working on building an organic audience. And, I've already mentioned some of the ways we're doing it, just creating content, focusing on what people are looking for, what they're searching for, being really dialed into that and optimizing our content to make sure we're answering the questions of people and providing true EEAT for search engines like Google to be able to find us and rank us very highly. We really are focusing on an authentic and very helpful approach to helping people buy furniture. And so far, it's working. It's a slow process, but it's very, very positive and rewarding in the sense that we're seeing results.
I mean, these are the foundation, right? Inbound and organic is the foundation of everything because at a certain point of time when you start, with paid media and ads, this will amplify the success of the ROAS, of these advertisements because inbound is super, super, super critical, like organic content. So I think you're in the right way. I mean, definitely you're doing it as it should be.
Yeah, I hope so.
What are your thoughts? I mean, if you just zoom out a little bit on the overall, retail, industry, specifically, around furnitures, right? How do you see those offline brick and mortar retailers? Are they going to survive, or what are your thoughts of the industry, as a whole, looking forward?
It's interesting. If you had asked me this a few years ago, based on the growth trajectory of the online space and then the pandemic, it seemed like, us online retailers, we grew tremendously from furniture space in 2020 and 2021. Like the growth was ridiculous. And so based on that and, the decline of many brick and mortar retailers, you would have to say that it's going in the direction of everything being online. But you still have that 80% number that I mentioned before. 80%.
Yes.
And that's 2023 numbers. 80% of the commerce in the furniture industry is done in the brick and mortar level. And there's just something about couches specifically, and something about furniture for one's home that people really still feel like they need to see it in person. So I feel like it's just one of these industries that's going to take a long time to become truly omni-channel. So I think the furniture industry still has a lot of time left being a brick and mortar focused entity, which is why I'm trying to lean into it when everyone else is ignoring it. And nobody's writing articles on the internet about these major furniture chains. Like they're forgotten about. They're not on the online space, and they're doing billions of dollars every year.
Sure. Yeah.
But I can't help but think like that online shopping is going to, take a bigger and bigger market share as we move forward. Once you make one online purchase and it's successful, then you're probably going to do it again.
Sure.
I think it's a matter of time.
It's a matter of time. Great, Alex. So on a personal note, could you tell us something about yourself that most people don't know?
Yes, I can. And but I know what the follow-up question is. And the follow-up question is, can you sing something for us?
Can
and
you
the
sing
answer is
something
no.
Okay. I don't have the right mic today. Okay.
I just don't have the right compressor.
I should have sent you the professional mic. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I should have warmed up too, No, I used to be an actor and a singer. Like that's
wow.
I started acting professionally when I was 18 and did musical theater and traveled the country. I've worked as an actor in Los Angeles for a while. And when I started Apartment 2B, my former company, my gig was I was singing on cruise ships in the Caribbean, where we'd go and basically like take a vacation for a week with a group of guys, and we would sing for one night a week,
Wow.
get paid handsomely, and got to take free Caribbean vacations. So
That's
that was
nice.
a big transition to the startup life from that, but it ended up working out, I think. And I
Nice. So I
enjoy
will
what I
not
do
ask you
now.
to sing, right? Because
Okay,
you've asked for
good.
it. But I will ask you if something from that stage of your career helped you in the startup career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I
Okay.
got a good one for you.
Okay.
In being an actor, it's like 95% rejection. And I'm not exaggerating on that.
Uh-huh.
Like you'll audition for 20
Yeah.
things, you're lucky if you get one. That's that's a 5%.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so, you know, and yet you still have to really, really go after all of the opportunities that come your way. You can't just be like, well, I'm probably not going to get this, so I'm not going to prepare for the audition. You have to prepare like you're perfect for the role. You have to really
Yes.
go there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of like dealing with rejection is one of them, because that's a huge part of being a startup founder,
Sure.
and or dealing with failures. And also just the amount of focus that you need to put into every opportunity, even knowing that it may end in failure, was something that
Preparation.
every actor
Yeah.
has to learn pretty early on.
Wow. That's a really good one. Really good one. Great. Alex, anything you want to add?
No, to any of your listeners, I'm a very communicative person. I
Yeah.
love hearing ideas and making new contacts. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm quite easy to find. If you search Alex Back, couch.com, or my email is alex@couch.com. I'd love to connect with anybody who wants to chat or thinks that I can provide value to them, or vice versa.
Great. Alex, thank you for a very, inspiring story, and great challenge that you are up to. I wish you great success and all the best. It takes like twice the time that you plan and three times the money that you plan, right? Usually until you've been successful. So I think you know all of that, and still, it's that tenacity that keeps us going, right? So
I think
again, wish you all
so.
the best. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.